I'm Roger Kainu. I'm an analyst with the Oregon Department of Energy. We've been involved with home energy scoring for quite some time now. We actually first started taking a look at it back in 2009, and then from that process, we moved it forward. It's been a statewide strategy. Oregon uses a strategy of responding to local jurisdictions who request energy and climate planning information. We're not pushy about it. We don't sell to folks. We don't try to encourage them in ways that aren't appropriate. So as a state, we're there as a resource to localities. And I think that's an underlying message I'd really like to convey to the audience. It's important to serve. So we encourage policy decision makers toward mandatory scoring when we're in those discussions. And we can get into why that might be. I think you probably already know. Real estate listings, we do the trigger for the home energy score at the time of sale of a real estate listing, which gives us a real good appropriate time to get involved in that financial decision. We connect with the Green Building Registry. That's an Earth Advantage product that displays all of the energy efficiency scores that have been conducted in your area. So that really works well, and I can dig into the details on that a little bit later. And Odo, to implement this process, we contract with Earth Advantage. They're our current implementer right now. They're a national organization, understand home energy score really well. So we found success with them. And we also use funding by some of our own agency, Odo, as we call it, Oregon Department of Energy, and also SCP funding in the background. Next slide. So the drivers for home energy scoring in Oregon, we've had a lot to do in the background with tax credit programs and energy efficiency programs brought about by utilities. I'm sure you're all aware of those type of programs, but we didn't really find enough traction with those. So we wanted to add to it in Oregon. So the legislature and the governor established a stakeholder panel to take a look at why we should have a home energy scoring program or another energy scoring program in the state. And at the time when we developed the stakeholder panel, there was actually 3 scoring programs operating in the state. There's the HERS program, and our Energy Trust of Oregon has a EPS program, they call it. Those 2 are based on new construction. So we were missing the existing buildings piece. So the stakeholder panel decided that we should have one score that goes across the whole state for home energy scoring, and the panel selected HES through the US DOE. It's been a great scoring system for us. We also, as I indicated, we encourage mandatory scoring. We developed a qualified state assessor pool. And that was an interesting task because we just established a lot of different requirements that a state assessor would need to have. Some basic building science principles, some mentoring. Then they go through the simulation training with US DOE. And then they go through more mentoring on site with other assessors that have learned how to score. And it produces a pretty good trained assessor. They also have credentials as well, professional credentials. They need to be licensed and bonded with the state. So basically, we have a professionalism that's operating with the state when it comes to assessors. And having one score throughout the whole state that is known for existing and new construction buildings is really important too, because it gives us an accuracy and consistency across the state that we really appreciate. The US DOE HES system is seen as accurate and consistent, as noted here on the slide, and it's easy to understand. And just to take a minute here, how many of you don't need to answer this, but how many folks out there know at least 5 realtors? How many know at least 5 homeowners? Well, there's a lot. And there's not only a lot of information that's missing out there, there's a lot of misinformation out there. And when you take a look at having a score across the whole state, you want it to be easy to understand. So you only get one chance with a lot of homeowners. You only get one chance with a realtor, and explaining that system to them really becomes highly important. So, and oh, one other thing I just want to bring up, something that isn't valued as much is what I think it should be, and that is the US DOE HES team they're so professional. You can see how this slide deck was even built, the information that Maddie relayed. It's just a great team to work with. And as a state representative that depends on a system like US DOE, for the credibility that I get because of USDOB is exceptional. It's just a great group of people to work with, and they know what they're doing. Next slide, please. So as you can see by the slide, Oregon has conducted over 35,000 scores since we started in about 2017 with a very slow start in the first year. Portland came online in 2018. Dirk will be talking about that in just a moment. And then we really started ramping up. And even considering a pandemic, that's a lot of scores for us to have conducted at this point. We also have 3 cities now in Oregon that have mandatory policies. There's Portland, Milwaukee, and Hillsboro. All 3 of those cities are right around the Portland metro area and have understood the value of home energy scoring. So it covers about 18% of the state's population. Many cities are working toward a policy in various stages and in discussions with their councils. Myself and our implementer Earth Advantage, Anthony Roy from Earth Advantage, we attend a lot of council sessions to help council members understand the different nuances and the details about home energy scoring. We're there to serve. So we have over 200 assessors that have completed the home energy score training, in which about 65 are actively involved in the market right now. And I'll take a side note and say most of the discussions I've had with cities, there's a concern, do we have enough assessors in our locality to service the market? And in fact, it's usually more than what you need. Once you stand up the program, you usually have a lot of market actors coming to you because you're creating a market. So rest assured, they'll come. And this assessor pool a lot of them are generated by weatherization contractors and home inspectors that find it easy to do this kind of work and make that transition. And in the future, we should have a rental-focused addition to our current HES program in Oregon, and that should be an interesting walk. Getting rental properties scored, I think it'd be very valuable, but it's a careful walk trying to get that kind of program coordinated with cities. Next slide, please. So future planning, I just mentioned the rental work that we're going to be working on. But as I need to indicate again, the underlying mission for our state government is to serve the local governments. We continue to meet with local governments and assist in planning. I think I'm talking with 5 or 6 cities currently that are in that process. Some are very close to approving a mandatory home energy score program for the locality. Others are a little further back. We offer a tailored approach to a scorecard, and that means we'll allow the city to make some changes to the scorecard based on their motivations that they have. Not every city is the same, and we don't treat them that way. We also do a lot of program support by training lenders, appraisers, and realtors. We found this to be a really good way to reduce the agitation, if there is any, to home energy scoring coming in as a mandatory policy. If you have educated people, you'll have more understanding and a lot less tension. And we encourage updates and improvements to the US DOE offering. And I know Torsten is keeping us on point with some new additions and changes to the home energy score system and the way it can go after multifamily even here coming up, which is a huge change. And we really encourage the US DOE to continue that sort of good changes to meet the needs of the market. And also in Oregon, early on, we developed a home energy score user group, which has been valuable, meeting with all the cities that are interested in Oregon in a home energy score policy. We meet with them and just exchange ideas, best practices. We have a really good time just chatting with each other too. Next slide. So those are some of the things that we have going on in Oregon. You'll see my contact information. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Never feel hesitant to pick up the phone and give me a call or an email or a Teams meeting, and we can chat things through. I know there's a ton here to soak in, so we can do that in a more detailed conversation.